Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Um, Today we're playing Train Sim World, and we're driving an ICE 3M to Aachen. So we're starting here in Cologne Central. Well, let me quickly get the train set up.
Störung. Zugbeeinflussung. WB gesperrt.
Right.
AFB.
And then open the doors.
Türen geöffnet.
Alright, let me know if there's anything wrong with the audio or the video or anything else. Can't do much about my voice though. So, yeah. Just a single unit. I believe this is how they actually run. I don't think there's many, like, double ICEs that go to Brussels. From Aachen, they continue to Brussels. Pretty sure that they run single ICE trains only nowadays, especially since the availability of the ICE 3M is really not that great because most of those trains are broken as hell. So, got the S-Bahn Köln over there. Probably the, I don't know, S19 maybe? Or Köln Nippes. No idea which one that is. S12, no. That's Horem. Which one? I don't know. I live near Cologne, not in Cologne, so this should be the RE1 to Hamm. Or well, the game doesn't display the destination boards properly since they only grab the target destination in game. So unless the devs added a special case, but this at least seems to be well, RE1 Rival 1546. Yeah, it's supposed to be the RE1 to Aachen. Yeah, it's supposed to be. All right, let's get the doors closed up. Before we go, let's activate the safety systems. Don't forget that. It's easier to activate them if the train isn't already running. All right, so brake released. AFB is set to 40 kilometers an hour. So let's go. We don't have to like try our hardest to be on time, since the way should be free all the way to Aachen, and this train got a couple minutes of extra time, but we'll still go the top speed on the high-speed line to Aachen. Hey Kango Fango, welcome to the stream. I'm doing great today. Had a nice lunch earlier, got the day off, so, you know. Alright. So, I'm letting the PZB start program run all the way right now because we are in Cologne, and in Cologne you do not ever want to free yourself from the start program because there's 500 Hertz magnets here that are always turned on, and yeah, if you free yourself from the start program and it's less than 550 meters until the next 500 Hertz magnet, you will get a penalty break. So should be a nice relaxed run to Aachen. So as soon as we're past here, We can accelerate. Oh, the motion blur glitching out. Almost accidentally pressed the wrong button there. Forgot to change game. Hello VGR. Did I forget to change the game? On my dashboard it says Train Sim World 3, so let me check in browser real quick. Hopefully I won't provoke an echo. Oh, Zifa. Blue Water Trains Plus. That's not how it's supposed to be. Oh, there's the LZB. That's great. Alright, open my channel. It's muted, and it says you are right. It does say working on the Blue Water Valley and Trains Plus. That is not what it's supposed to be. Okay, do that again. Oh. There we go. Okay, it did update for me now. Not sure if it has updated for you as well. It's updated, alright. Oh well. I mean, could have been worse. If I wouldn't have been able to change it at all, that would have been a bit annoying. But yeah. It's fixed now. Alright, so I will keep the train at 80 kilometers an hour until we reach the section where we can accelerate all the way up to 250. So we can accelerate in one go. And we got the time to do it, so happened to me quite a few times in the past too. Ah well. Oh, that was a 187. I recently got the DLC. So the 187 is it's one of the Bombardier Trucks 3 locos, and it's the freight variant of the 147, which is the first locomotive that I was trained on, and I mean it's the only locomotive I'm trained on, because I'm only trained on the IC2 Intercity 2 with the 147, and then the ICE4, which is a multiple unit. So yeah. The sounds of the Train Sim World version are a bit not so great. I know that when the DLC was originally released, due to COVID, they couldn't get original sound recordings, so they used the same sound as the 185, which is completely wrong. And then they did get sound recordings, but I tried it and they don't sound right. So I installed a sound mod and it fixes it somewhat, but it still doesn't sound like me. Right. Put the AFB all the way up. Put the throttle on max. And let's have this train accelerate. So this is a pretty short run on LZB. It's on like, I don't know, 40 kilometers or so. So I have it done in like 15 minutes. Which is way better than like driving the entire Würzburg to Kassel route, which is like an hour of just LZB. So here you will have like halfway LZB and then halfway PZB. So not much to do right now, just pressing the CIFA button every 30 seconds. BR406. An interesting design, very nice. Yeah. So the thing with the side of the locomotive is these panels, or these like it looks like a container, but it's basically it's recessed. So the idea from Bombardier is that you can put a cover over there. They call it a flex panel. I believe it's some kind of fabric, but I don't really know what it's made of. And basically that way you can like put advertising on your locomotive without having to actually repaint it or put like, I think they do it with like, how you say it in English? I think that's like, yeah, they basically they just glue it on, but you don't even have to do that. You just take off one of the flex panel that you had on there, and then you put on a new one. Not everyone runs them with the flex panels on. So DB Cargo has, I think, some of them with flex panel and most of them without. DB Fernverkehr with the Intercity 147s does not run them with flex panels, as well as DB Regio for their regional trains that they run with the 147, because they fear, since the 147 can go 20 kilometers per hour faster, 160, so they fear that the flex panels might come off, and thus they run them without. I don't know what reason they could have to believe that they might fly off, especially since like 20 kilometers an hour is not that high of a speed difference. But they probably got their reasons. I don't know. So basically a sticker. Yeah, so usually you put a sticker on there. I mean, a sticker that doesn't go off immediately, but yeah, basically a sticker. And you don't have to do that with the Trucks 3. You can put advertising on there just by putting a new panel on. And you don't have to throw the old one away. Yes, Kango, that picture is with the flex panel on. Yeah. Don't forget the SIFA. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen one with a flex panel in real life. And if I did, I might have not registered it. But yeah. It's definitely an interesting concept. That's going pretty fast. And this is the highest speed that I've driven a train myself at. I haven't personally, or I've been on trains that went considerably faster than 250, but I've not driven them myself, since the ICE4 has a top speed of 250 for the 7 cars and some of the 12 and 13 cars, and then basically once the warranty runs out, they get they are allowed, the 12 and 14 car versions of the ICE4 are allowed to go to 65 kilometers an hour. Basically sacrifice local cooling for ads. They don't sacrifice any amount of cooling. The side panels, they are not for cooling reasons. There's no heat sinks on there, there's no air intakes on there. It's just an interesting side panel design. I think it's for like structural reasons. I don't really know. But yeah, they build it that way. The side panels are not for air intake, the air intakes are on the roof. So yeah, no cooling on there. Also, yeah, with Train Simulator Classic, developer Armstrong Powerhouse released quite a few payware enhancement packs for some DTG's British rolling stock. They used to have a lot of sound packs too, but for some reason, all but one of those have been removed. Might have been because of some, I don't know, licensing reasons or something. I don't know. Let's check the link. I mean, I'm not that knowledgeable on British trains, so the 117 looks pretty good. I don't know, with some of the Dovetail game stuff, the quality varies like quite a bit. Let's take the throttle away. We're about to enter the braking curve. So luckily, since this train has an AFB, I have to do literally nothing. The train will do the braking for me. No worries. 117 or 317? 370. Sorry if I said 117. Yeah, 370. They did record all the sounds themselves, from what I know. Well, that's, you know, best way to get good sound, you know. And especially if you do the sound recording yourself, you generally don't have to worry about copyright, because like the sound a loco makes is not copyrighted, and the only copyright you have to worry about is the one of the recording itself. So alright, so I'll just let the train coast. We'll enter another braking curve soon to take us down to 160, and then we will run through the LZB ending procedure. Which means that I will have to press a key. Well, I mean, it's yeah, it's in real life it's a bit more complicated than that, because in real life, yeah, you're not in a simulator there, and you actually need to orient yourself a bit, you know, check the timetable again to know where you are, especially if you haven't driven the route that often yet, which is the case as I'm still in training. The first time I went through an LZB ending procedure was actually quite scary, because I mean, I knew what to do. I had done it like 100 times in Train Sim World, and other train simulators that support it. But doing it for real is a whole nother thing. So let's confirm that. Right. So yeah, it's doing it in real life is quite a bit more scary, especially if you don't expect it. You know, suddenly your train is like Zugbeeinflussung, and you have a flashing Ende symbol, and yeah, that's no. But I mean, you know, I was supervised by an instructor, and it worked out. But yeah. AP currently offers standalone train and wagon packs, enhancement packs. Oh, so do it this way. So after leaving the LZB, you need to reset your AFB once, because when you run LZB, you put it all the way forward, and so the train doesn't try to accelerate past the allowed speed. You need to reset it once, so go all the way down to 0 and then put it all the way up. The train in real life doesn't attempt to brake when you do that. In Train Sim World it does. Yeah, I mean, it's at least it's implemented, you know, that you have to do it. Where was I? Enhancement packs for existing locomotives, which require them to work, of course. one route and also some general game enhancement packs for weather, cloud packs. Sometimes I'm glad Romania only uses Induzi and DSV. Well, Induzi is basically PZB. It's what PZB was called all the way up to the 90s when they changed the name. On older locomotives that were built before that, you still have everything labeled Induzi. And, you know, the system is basically the same. There were some minor changes, but basically every old loco is still compatible, since the changes were only like locomotive internal for new locos, and the old ones, they didn't change, or if they changed, they got updated with the new behavior, but all the panels that are labeled still say Induzi. Getting a bit foggy here. Right, so 16 minutes left, 21 kilometers. I think we should be on time. Yeah, literally add a magnet on each bogie and some circuit fuckery. Well, it's a bit more complicated. They use computers instead of circuits. Originally, when the system was first developed in the 1930s or something, they did use simple circuits. They now use computers that do it. It allows to do some more advanced stuff like display display on a display, which this one doesn't have. So here you just have lamps. In the more modern cars, you have a display which will not only tell you which, you know, the lamp, but also what corresponding behavior you need to do. So yeah. And what is a computer? It's a circuit. Well, it's a pretty advanced circuit. You know, there's a clear difference from like Induzi from like the 1930s, which literally used, you know, like old-fashioned circuits, analog circuits, and a computer which works digitally. When DTG create a new train or locomotive, it would be ideal if they managed to get a driver of the real-life one to beta test it. They do. At least for Train Sim World. Sometimes. They do. I know that they do. I don't know if they do it for everything. I specifically know that they did it for the 423 of the München-Augsburg DLC. Not sure if they do it for everything. But I know that in that case they did get a real driver to playtest it. I think it always depends if they have a driver who, you know, plays the game, is willing to test it. You know, of course, there's also like the driver will need to sign an NDA, and if they are not willing to do that, then, you know, they're out. Yeah, I mean, you can see that they try. You can see that they try to be realistic. But, you know, yeah, it sometimes doesn't work out. Wikipedia, the term computer in use from early 17th century meant one who computes, a person performing mathematical calculations before electronic computers became commercially available. Yeah, it was a job description before it became a description for a machine. Gotta do some braking here. Better do it fast because there will be a speed checker coming up. Good. Oh, they didn't know about that. Yeah, they only mentioned it like in one live stream or something. But yeah, I mean it's a sensible thing to do. But yeah, of course you gotta find someone who's willing to do it. Well, did they update the thing where if the signal changes while you're approaching and you gotta hold the PZB to pass, or it's gonna say no? If the signal changes, so you mean like if you approach a red and it then changes to a yellow or green, you don't have to hold anything. You only have to hold if you get permission to pass a red. That's the only time where you need to hold something. If you do not pass a red, if the signal simply changes from red to something else, then the only thing you will have to do is continue according to the supervision level that you're on. Most likely when approaching the red, it will either be 45 or 25 kilometers an hour. If you're in the like if you're a passenger train, for freight trains different restrictions apply. Yeah, and of course then once you pass the signal, your 500 hertz magnet goes away. You can press PZB free to free yourself if you got into the restrictive mode, and then you can continue at full speed. Alright, gotta let the train coast because we got 10 more minutes left and it's only 10 more kilometers, so gotta take it slow. Well, I mean, of course, if your information is from Romania, they might have changed the system a bit. You know, I mean, the you know, as long as the technical technical base is the same, like a magnet that induces a current at a certain frequency, then that would be called inducee, and you know, they can make up their own restrictions according to the rules that they run their trains on. No, it's from a YouTube lesson on the PZB system in Train Sim. Okay. Well, I mean, it depends. Not every train simulator has every PZB feature implemented or implemented the correct way. So I know that ProTrain Perfect, which is based on trains, ProTrain Perfect 1 is based on trains 2006, ProTrain Perfect 2 is based on trains 2010. They just license it from Oren and then send it out with their own content instead. They, for example, don't have it implemented that you can free yourself from the restrictive mode or the start program. You need to let that run out. So yeah, they might have gotten it wrong. I don't know, are you referring to Train Sim Classic or some other simulator? Yeah, Train Sim Classic. Well, the thing is, with Train Sim Classic, I don't think it only has like one PZB implementation. They got like they got every locomotive, every multiple unit has like PZB implemented in a slightly different way. Some of them are quite primitive, especially the earlier implementations. Like, you know, when Hagen-Siegen was still a new release, and like, I mean, that's one of they got so much wrong on that route. Yeah, and everything that came like out at that time was so primitive when it came to any safety system implementation. So yeah, they probably got something wrong there. Or railroads, only the OGs know that one. Yeah, true. Didn't have it when it was called that, but I know of it. I think I had a version of it, but I think I gave it away at some point. It's not even tied to my Steam account, so yeah. I don't know, did they even release the original on Steam? I have no idea. That was so many years ago. First one I had was TS 2016. I started with 14 on Steam. Yeah. When I switched to it on Steam, it was 14. Oh, big. I really loved the 2016 trailer. Because you know the way they did the Union Pacific gas turbine was just awesome. I mean, I would love if it was that way in the game, but honestly, just rewatching the trailer, it's like so good. I think it was on Steam since 2012, maybe, not certain. I don't know either. I don't know. Watch the PTG rail tutorial. Yeah, I might give that one a watch. Yeah, I don't know. Can I do that on stream? I don't know. Copyright and stuff, but I think it should be fine. So, would give it an overview. Alright, that I literally can't see. We did not get a 500 hertz. So that's back to stop and 120 kilometers an hour. Yeah, not gonna go that fast when approaching a red, so. But like, we literally got 5 minutes, so I could stop this train, go have a drink, restart it, and we'd still be on time. I mean, people would be annoyed, but I don't care. Oh, and we got another. That's a repeater, so slow down a bit, as apparently we're actually. I don't know if there's another train ahead of us. There might be. Oh, switched. Alright, so we're not in restrictive mode yet, so it's 40 kilometers an hour. 45 actually, but you go 5 under in case the speedometer is not 100% accurate. And there goes the 500. Oh. Okay. I should have gotten a penalty break because I was way too slow to confirm that. To acknowledge that, but alright. I've watched some of those vids. He does many non-UI drives of routes. He gives info about route driving. Alright. Signals in Romania follow the SSSR system. Yeah, that should be. I think that was like used everywhere from like the former Soviet Union all the way to Eastern Germany, so it should be quite similar to the East German HL system, which luckily I am trained on, so you know. You stop the train, cloud up the windows behind you, and the passengers just hear a muffled slurping sound from behind the glass. You don't actually hear a lot through that glass, so. Oh, there's the train that's blocking our path. Of course, we gotta go all the way to the left of the station. so as we're this slow, let's go with 20 just to be sure. Would have put us in restrictive by now, but alright, there. That was 40 with the 40 announcement, so let's do exactly that and give chat another read while I hope that I don't mess up. Like you got 3 and 2 light exit signals and 2 and 2 entry signals. I rarely count the lights on the signals. I just look at the lights that are lit. I know there are people who care that much about signals that they know like which year it was constructed just from looking at its shape and the number of lights and their position. I'm not one of those because like that's so unnecessary to know that. But yeah, I mean, if you're into that, fine. Got like 20 different indications you have to remember, like blinking yellow, blinking green, etc. Yeah, that's pretty much the East German HL system. It's actually not that complicated once you get through it, but yeah. If you're new to it, it takes a little moment to click. I don't think there's any... Oh wait, there is a route. There is a route in Train Sim World which does a stat. Right. Oh, that was... I pressed the wrong button. I mean, there wasn't a magnet, but yeah. Gotta give a love to whoever like looks at the recording of the recorder, which you know all the inputs do get recorded, like same as on a plane. So yeah, whoever will look at that will have a little laugh. Yeah, once you get the hang of it. Yeah, it's... I mean, honestly, it's even like once you get it, it's really, really simple. And actually, like, that is one of the few... What the heck is this signal? What the fuck? What the heck is this? What the fuck? And what's this white line? No. No. This is wrong. This is then wrong. Holy shit. I mean, there are some obscure signals, but like this light shouldn't be on. That's for one. And then, like, what the fuck? Wait, is there even like... Where would it show a green? Would it show it up here or somewhere? Or what the fuck? I have no idea what this is. Obviously a KS signal, but or it's supposed to... I have never ever seen something like that. Well, to be fair, I've never been to Aachen Central Station myself, but yeah, no. Maybe the red LEDs would turn green. No, that's not a thing. For like safety reasons, that's not done because you risk if like, I don't know, cable isolation is broken or insulation is broken and you have like two wires touching each other and then the LEDs turn green and you know rival thinks he can go, and if you have it separate, the red one would still be on and it would like the driver would know that the signal is faulty instead of thinking that he can go. So there's a whole lot of protections in there so that something cannot go wrong. Which doesn't mean that things do not go wrong. They go wrong quite often. But yeah. All right, so that was that. So we still got a lot of time. So actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a look at that tutorial. Yeah, I'll just leave the stream title for now. I'll just have a quick look at it. So, what was it called? PTG Rail. Right. So, all right. I guess that it's the German and Austrian signaling guide. So, oh, you send a link. Is that by chance? Oh, it's the same. So,
Hey everyone, and welcome to this remade German signalling guide, which is designed to replace the guide that I first recorded for this channel around 3.5 years ago. Things have come a long way since the first guide that I made with regards to my knowledge of German signals and safety systems, and also since that time I've invested in a new, much more powerful PC and a considerably improved microphone. And so the purpose of this video is to create a much more detailed guide to German signals and safety systems, including
this is
signals within
54
Austria,
minutes
with
long.
the aim of
Holy
producing this
shit.
video to a much higher standard than was previously possible. Whilst I am recording this video within Train Simulator, due to the variety of routes and trains available, as well as the ease of setting up the various different camera shots, this system is used only on German routes within Train Simulator as far as systems that we will be looking at. PZB, which, if I can pronounce this correctly, stands for Punktförmige Zugbeeinflussung, and this is in use.
He absolutely mangled that pronunciation. It's punktförmige Zugbeeinflussung.
In both Germany and Austria within Train Simulator. In real life, PZB is also used in Slovenia, Croatia, Romania, Israel, 2 routes in Hungary, and 1 route in Canada.
And 1 route in the US.
The other signalling system that we will be looking at in this video is LZB, which stands for Linienzugbeeinflussung, and this system is used only on German routes within Train Simulator as far as I'm aware, but it's also used in real life on certain Austrian routes, along with Spanish routes. After going over the basic signalling theory, we will then move on to some driving scenarios, so it's by no means exhaustive, there is always more to learn, and there are certain signs that you will encounter when driving on German or Austrian routes. There are more signs in reality than I have included here.
The US has PZB. Yes, there is. Oh, also you do not see the video. That's not how it's supposed. That's how it's supposed to. Yes, there is 1 route in the US. It's like a little one just within 1 city, where they, for the route, they bought German trains, and they, it was cheaper to just buy PZB equipment for the route than to refit the trains to an American train control system. So, you know, they bought used trains from Germany and just bought some PZB equipment as well. Do you know what the route was called? I don't remember that. I've seen it in a YouTube video. Since we're on YouTube anyways, let me see. Let me move that away. Not gonna have you see my whole timeline, so I think I watched it over a year ago, so I'm not sure if YouTube remembers it, but let's give it a try. No. Let's try the YouTube search. Nope. Nope. I can't seem to find it. I don't know, maybe it's not online anymore. As I don't remember the title of the video, I can only really like try the search terms that would fit best from what I remember. Yeah, can't really see it. Whenever I Google like German, or when I search for like German trains in the US or PZB in the US, I either get PZB tutorials or just opinions about German trains from Americans. So, well, if you click like on the video, I don't remember if I did that. Let me take a look. I don't like that many videos. So, or I mean, I do like a lot of videos, but I do not like a lot of videos of that. I mainly like, for me, it's more like a bookmarking function. So I mainly like cooking videos. So I remember them when I'm like, I wanna like make new recipes, try something out. I'll just go into my likes or like videos. Not sure. Um, and this is way too old. Yeah, don't have it. Sorry. In Canada. That might be it. I don't know. I might have confused the US and Canada. They definitely used Bombardier Talent 1 trains, so that would be correct. I know that they later changed them for Alstom Lind multiple units. So yeah, Corelia Lind and Lörz as well. Nice. So all right, I guess that's what it is. This one's it then. Yeah, then I guess it was Canada. I just remembered it wrong. Yes. Well, also nice to see this classified as light rail, even though it's like these are like full-size trains. I mean, they're on the slower end of the spectrum, but you know, they're still full-size trains. Anyways, let's continue.
Here, but I have tried to include all of the important signs that you will need to pay attention to as a driver. Speed posts are white square boards with black numbers written on them. The number represents the speed limit divided by 10. So, for example, a speed post with the number 16 means a speed limit of 160 kilometers per hour. All speed limits within Germany and Austria, along with all of the rest of Europe except the UK, are measured in kilometers per hour. When you see a speed board, just times the number written on the post by 10, and that will give you the current speed limit. If there could be confusion about which track a speed post is associated with, then you'll see a small arrow placed above the sign to indicate which track the speed restriction applies to. Speed posts in Austria are also square-shaped, but with a red border. Posts are often downward-pointing triangles, but it is possible that they may also point in an upwards direction. These signs are coloured orange with the number from the speed. There will be an video. Speed warning posts in Austria are also triangular shaped and take on a similar style to the speed limit posts, in that they have a red border on the outside and the numbers are coloured red. Before signals, you may well encounter distance marker posts, which are tall rectangular boards with diagonal black stripes on them. These represent the distance to an upcoming signal. The post with 3 stripes is placed 250 meters before the signal. With German signal aspects, looking at the 3 primary types of signal in use. Whilst this is a slightly simplified version of the signal types found in reality, this should cover pretty much everything that you need to know within Train Simulator and Train Sim World. Mainline signals are divided into 2 types, which are main signals and distant signals. The gap between 2 main signals is known as a signal block. Green main signals indicates that you are clear to proceed at the current line speed, or Vmax, of your train, with Vmax being maximum velocity, whichever of the two numbers is lower, and the signal block ahead is clear. If you encounter a main signal showing a green over yellow aspect, this indicates that you must proceed at a reduced speed, which is 40 km per hour unless indicated otherwise on the signal. Red or double red signal aspects indicate that you must stop at this signal as the signal section ahead is not clear. A main signal aspect which has a number on it in white indicates that you can proceed.
That's wrong. So you only get the green over yellow for speed restrictions up to 60 kilometers an hour. 70 and up uses just the green, together with the sign that tells you the speed limit. By Kango Fango. Yeah. Actually, while I'm at it, have the video paused, I'm gonna change the stream title. Alright. And the game, what is it like? I don't know, just chatting or whatever category should be it. Alright, well. Let me write that down. Yeah, that's a good thing to remember for, like, I don't know, general stuff. If you build a German route in trains or something. Or if you just want to call others out if they get it wrong.
Proceed at the speed limit indicated by that number. So, for example, if you encounter a signal with the number 8 on it, this means that you can proceed past this signal at a speed of no greater than 80 km per hour. Distant signals are warning signals of what to expect at the next main signal, and the lights are placed at a diagonal angle. Most distant signals are also shaped in a diagonal way, but it is possible that some distant signals may look a bit more like main signals in their shape. The important distinguishing feature is that the lights on a distant signal are always placed at a diagonal angle. If the
well, that depends on the signaling system. KS, SK, those have a single light to indicate the next signal. Then you have well, the HL system also does that, and in the SV system, which is used by the Hamburg S-Bahn, the lights are directly on top of each other.
The distant signal has a white light indicating on it. This white light indicates that it is closer to the next main signal than usual, and this is especially important to bear in mind when driving with PZB. A double green aspect on a distant signal indicates that the next main signal is clear, so you can continue to proceed at line speed or the Vmax of your train. A green and yellow distant signal with a green...
Again, you only get green over yellow up to 60 kilometers an hour.
Light in the top right and a yellow light in the bottom left indicates that you are to expect to proceed at a reduced speed at the next signal, which is 40 kilometers per hour, unless indicated otherwise by a number on the distant signal.
And also, it can also be changed by the timetable. So if you have a note in the timetable that says that you can pass the signal at a higher speed, then you will not have a sign there. But you are allowed to pass it at a greater speed. Of course, the one that's mentioned in the timetable.
A distant signal displaying 2 yellow lights indicates that you should expect to stop at the next main signal, as it is currently displaying a red stop aspect. You may find that sometimes a distant signal is placed on the same post as a main signal. In this case, what you need to do is obey the current aspect on the main signal and follow the aspect which is on the distant signal for what's going to happen at the following main signal. A signal...
Just to come back to that, if the distant signal is turned off, in this case, when it's combined with the main signal, that doesn't mean it's broken. If the distant signal does not apply to the path that your train will take, it does get turned off. And that's the only case in which a signal will get turned off without an indicator light that it's broken. Indicator light in that case is the functioning main signal.
On the distant signal for what's going to happen at the following main signal. A signal displaying a flashing green aspect indicates that you are cleared to proceed at line speed, but to expect a speed reduction at the next signal.
That's the KS version. So in the KS system, whenever a speed limit is announced at a signal, that signal will flash green.
In this case, you can see a number 5 indicated, so you would have to slow down to 50 kilometers per hour by the time that you reach the next signal. On some routes, you may find that older semaphore signals are in use. The light patterns on these signals at night time are identical to the way that modern colour light signals look. Let's just take a quick look at the differing aspects that you will find on semaphore signals. Main signals have two semaphore arms on them. If the upper arm is pointing upwards at a diagonal angle and the lower arm is pointing upwards vertically, then this indicates a clear aspect and you can proceed at line speed or the Vmax of your train. If both arms of a main signal are pointing upwards at a diagonal angle, this indicates you are cleared to proceed at a reduced speed, which is 40 km per hour unless indicated otherwise. If the upper arm of a main signal is pointing to the right in a horizontal direction and the lower arm is pointing upwards in a vertical direction, then this is a stop signal. You cannot proceed until the signal has cleared or you have permission to do so from the signaller. Distant semaphore signals utilize a yellow disc and yellow arm to indicate the various signal aspects to warn what to expect at the next main signal. A distant signal where the yellow disc is not visible and the yellow arm is pointing vertically downwards indicates that you can expect a clear proceed aspect at the next main signal. At night time, you would perceive this as two diagonal green lights. If the yellow disc...
Quick note on this, in former East Germany, due to it being a very poor country, they cut a lot of costs, and that included the distant semaphore signals. So there they, on less important routes with lower top speeds, they just omitted one of the lights and had either a green or a yellow light, and then the signal just couldn't display an expect reduced speed limit. So the driver just had to watch out for that. But since they were lines with low top speeds, that wasn't an issue.
On the distant signal is showing and the yellow arm is pointing downwards in a diagonal direction. This indicates that you should expect a reduced speed at the next main signal. At night time, this will be perceived as a green light in the upper right and a yellow light in the bottom left. If the yellow disc is visible and the yellow arm is pointing downwards in a vertical direction, this indicates that you should expect a red stop aspect at the next main signal. At night time, this will be perceived as two diagonal yellow lights. Shunt signals are primarily used in yards or around railway stations. There are two aspects which shunt signals can display. Two horizontal red lights indicates that you are not clear to proceed until you are given an indication otherwise. Two diagonal white lights indicates that you are clear to proceed away from this shunt signal, driving by sight at a speed of no greater than 40 kilometers
Wrong. 25 kilometers an hour when you're shunting
per hour. Before moving on to look at the PZB theory, let's first take a look at the signal aspects that you may encounter when driving on Austrian routes.
There is an exception. If the shunting dispatcher announced a clear way up to a signal, so he needs to specifically say the way is clear up to signal XY, then you are allowed to go up to 40 kilometers an hour. But when that is not the case, it's 25 kilometers an hour max while you're shunting. Of course, if you pass one of those signals when you're not shunting, then whatever limit of the past main signal applies.
I'd like to note at this point that Austria does also use semaphore signals on certain routes, like in Germany, but I'm not actually sure which Austrian routes they may be found on within Train Simulator, so I'm not covering Austrian semaphore signals in this video. Whilst some signal aspects in Austria are very similar, there are a few key differences, not least that many of the speed restrictions are actually set by the signal aspect, rather than a number indication being displayed by the signal. There are both
let's skip the
Austria are smaller than main signals and
Austrian
they are
stuff,
a clear
since
or proceed
I
distant signal aspect
wouldn't know
is
if
indicated by
anything
two
was wrong
diagonal
with
green
that.
lights at the bottom.
So, let's continue with the 1000 Hertz
magnet, which is placed at the distance signal and can be at varying distances from the main signal ahead. The next magnet is the 500 Hertz magnet, which is usually placed at around a distance of 250 meters from...
it's 300 to 150 meters. if I remember correctly. Might have been 250 to 100. It depends on how far the point of danger is behind the signal. And actually, if the point of danger is far enough behind the signal, it is possible to omit the 500 Hz magnet, which has caused an accident in the past. So not a good idea, but it is allowed under whatever circumstances. I don't know the rules on what's allowed in terms of track construction. I only drive the train, I don't build the train.
The main signal. The final magnet is placed at the main signal itself and is known as the 2000 Hz magnet. If we now look into the cab of the Virtual Railroads BR101, let's just take a quick look at the PZB controls before continuing to explain how to approach cautionary signals. So there are three types of PZB mode, which indicate the speed limits that you'll have to follow when approaching cautionary signals. Passenger trains use PZB O mode, with the O standing for Oberer, which when active will illuminate the 85 lamp.
Not every passenger train is in the upper train category. It depends on how good the brakes are. So there's a formula to calculate the strength of the brakes in relation to the weight of the train. And depending on how good that relation is, you either get placed in the upper, middle, or lower category of trains, and then get the according speed limits. It is true that most passenger trains go in the upper category because passenger trains generally have good brakes, but there are cases where passenger trains go in the middle category just because they have not so good brakes. It mostly applies to older rolling stock. Well, that's the case, although like passenger train brakes got pretty good pretty fast. I know that the 42X multiple units, so 424, 425, 426, those I know for certain, that they got placed or still do get placed in the middle train category temporarily, depending on the season, because they have braking issues in the fall and winter, which is just due to flawed construction. So they only realized that once the problem actually started showing and drivers sped past stations with the train unable to brake. So yeah, since then those restrictions apply to those trains. They gotta go slower in the fall and winter, and yeah, makes it not always easy to follow the timetable. And of course, it's a shame, but also these trains, they are quite cheap quality wise, especially when it comes to the passenger comfort. So
that you can see here on the dashboard. The 85 indicates the speed that you will need to reduce to when passing a cautionary signal. To the left of the cab, you can see the PZB controls. To turn on PZB, with most default trains, you press Control and numpad Enter, but with some trains, the controls to turn on PZB are slightly different, especially with Virtual Railroads locomotives. So I do recommend checking the manual of the particular type of train that you are driving. So with the PZB controls here that you can see to the left of the cab, there are three buttons that we need to deal with. The first one, which is on the right, is the PZB Acknowledge button, which is operated by page down on the keyboard. PZB Free or Release is the middle button, which is operated by the end key on the keyboard. The final button is PZB Override, which is the button on the left there, and is operated by the delete key on the keyboard. So with our passenger train in PZB O mode, as we pass a cautionary distance signal indicating that the main signal is displaying a red stop aspect, we have to press the PZB Acknowledge key within 4 seconds, or the emergency brakes will be applied. Once we have pressed the Acknowledge key, then the 1000 Hz lamp in the cab will illuminate, indicating that we have just passed and acknowledged an active 1000 Hz magnet. From this point,
what you should mention is that it's the time you have. Did he mention that?
Applied. Once we have pressed the PZB Acknowledge key within 4 seconds.
4 seconds. Yeah. It is 4 seconds on older rolling stock. Newer rolling stock typically uses a time of 2.5 seconds. And those 2.5 seconds, I'm pretty sure that the simulators simulate it just from the beginning of the car, but of course in real life it's from the moment the magnet passes, or the magnet on your train passes the magnet by the track, and that the magnet by the track might not always be aligned with the signal, and the magnet on your train might not always be aligned with your driver's seat. It might be further in the front, it might be further back, especially for like 6-axle locomotives. If the magnet is placed at the back of the bogie, yeah, that's quite a distance, so you gotta be careful. It's best to press the acknowledge button twice just to make sure. You can't press the acknowledge button too often. I mean, it will show up in the log on the recorder, and might be an indicator that you don't know what you're doing if you're just constantly acknowledging everything. But if you like hit it one too many times, nothing happens. Especially considering that when you pass a repeater, you also need to acknowledge that, and like 95% of repeaters do not have magnets placed on them. Hey, I only build the locos. I don't usually drive them.
Or the emergency brakes will be applied. Once we have pressed the acknowledge key, then the 1000 Hz lamp in the cab will illuminate, indicating that we have just passed and acknowledged an active 1000 Hz magnet. From this point, we now have just 23 seconds to reduce our speed to below 85 kilometers per hour.
23 seconds in the upper train category. In the middle train category, it's 28 seconds to get down to 70. And in the lower one, it's 38 seconds to go down to 55.
Or the emergency brakes will be applied. If you're traveling at a speed as high as 160 kilometers per hour, this could require some pretty hard braking. So when traveling at such a speed, I generally recommend to keep a close eye on the signals, and in fact begin braking as soon as you see the cautionary signal aspect ahead.
Yeah, especially if you see a signal late and can only begin braking when you pass the signal. It might be necessary in some cases to actually go into emergency to actually manage to stop before the red signal, especially when the track is a bit slippery, and the wheels might have the risk of blocking. Just of course, use the sander, but also go into emergency brake, because that will activate the magnetic track brake, which operates which doesn't apply to the wheels, so it operates regardless of the wheel's friction. So you can still brake that way if the situation requires it.
Before you have passed or acknowledged the active PZB magnet. Once you have travelled 700 meters past the cautionary signal and active 1000 Hz magnet, the 1000 Hz lamp will go out in the cab. If you can now see the main signal ahead and see that it is now displaying a clear aspect.
I'm pretty sure that this is not 700 meters. I would have to look it up right now because I don't actually know it myself. I mean, it's you drive 85 until the lamp goes out. But pretty sure that it's more than 700 meters. I think it was like 750. I know that the flashing 85 will go away after 1250 meters. Yep, we don't have ABS in a loco. Actually, there is there are wheel slip protection mechanisms built in. But of course, they work by releasing the brake very quickly and reapplying it. So of course, you lose braking force with that. So if the situation requires it, if your wheels slip and you gotta stop before that signal, it's a good idea to go into emergency brake, because yeah.
You may at this point press the PZB free or release key and begin to accelerate once again. You should aim to press this before you reach the 500 Hz magnet, as long as the signal is clear. If you do press the release key and the signal is not clear, then the emergency brakes will be applied upon reaching the 500 Hz magnet.
Yeah, that's the 550 meter rule that I mentioned earlier. So when you though actually Well, if I mean you generally you aren't even allowed to press the free key if you aren't clear to go, of course. So that situation usually only happens if you were clear to go and there is a 500 Hz magnet that you didn't expect. If the signal is red, then I don't know what the point even would be of freeing yourself, because you're only gonna provoke a penalty brake on the 500 Hz magnet. You couldn't even accelerate because you run the red signal, and that can kind of get you fired if on the recorder they see that you accelerated towards the red signal.
If the signal is not clear, then you must continue to slow down so that you are not travelling any faster than 65 kilometers per hour by the time you pass the 500 Hz magnet, or the emergency brakes will then be
65 for the upper train class, 55 for the middle one, and 45 for the lower one. Of course, all these speed restrictions, you go 5 kilometers per hour under, just in case that your speedometer is inaccurate.
applied. As you pass over this magnet, the 500 Hz lamp will illuminate in the train cab, but you do not need to acknowledge this magnet. Only 1000 Hz magnets need acknowledging. Once you've passed the 500
You don't acknowledge magnets, you acknowledge signals. That's like one of the first things you get taught when you start training as a. We do not acknowledge magnets, we acknowledge signals.
500 Hz magnet, you must then decelerate to a further speed restriction of 45 kilometers per hour within the next 153 meters, or again, the emergency brakes will be applied. Once down to 45 kilometers per hour, you can then safely bring the train to a stop in front of the red signal. At the main signal is the 2000 Hz magnet, which will always bring a train to a stop if the train passes the signal whilst at danger. If the signal clears after you've passed the 500 Hz magnet but before you've stopped the train, you cannot release from speed monitoring and must continue at a speed of no greater than 45 kilometers per hour. This is why if you notice the signal is clear before you have reached the 500 Hz magnet, you should aim to release from PZB monitoring at this time to prevent these further speed restrictions from being imposed.
No. Let's just go back on that.
Before you stop the train, you cannot release from speed monitoring and must continue at a speed of no greater than 45 kilometers per hour. This is why if you notice the signal is clear before you have reached the 500 Hz magnet, you should aim to release from PZB monitoring at
But once the signal is clear, the 500 Hz magnet is no longer active. The restriction won't apply, no matter if you free yourself or not. So I don't really get the point of that.
this time to prevent these further speed restrictions from being imposed. After passing the cleared signal at 45 kilometers per hour, restricted monitoring will continue until you have travelled 250 meters past this signal, at which point you may then accelerate back up towards line.
It depends if you even got into restricted monitoring, and if you did, then it depends on when that came active. And of course, you also wouldn't pass the signal at 45 kilometers an hour in restrictive monitoring with an active 500 Hz magnet, because that one restricts you to 25 kilometers an hour. So it just turns off. Yeah, the 500 Hz magnet is only there to make sure that if you fail to brake and if you pass the signal, you do not pass it at high speed, because of after the signal there will be some point of danger, like a switch, or I don't know, a level crossing, or something else, point of danger. And you want to make sure that if a train doesn't brake and passes the 2000 Hz magnet, which will inevitably activate a penalty brake, it does that not too fast, so that it will still come to a stop before the point of danger. Excuse my not knowing of. I only work on propulsion part of the loco. Oh, you actually work on loco. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, well, I mean, it's, but yeah, that's super cool. I mean, it's we only get to see like technical drawings and stuff, and yeah, I mean it's I don't know, we learn some technological basics. Of course, if we're out there, we need to be able to determine if our loco is operational or not. So we get like, I don't know, I know how a three-phase electric motor works, and I know how much voltage the main battery has, and I know how the pneumatic system of the loco works. Especially that's like the main focus, the braking system. So yeah. Welcome back, Kango Fango.
line speed. If you have stopped at a red signal which isn't clearing, you can request permission to pass the signal from the signaler by pressing the tab key on the keyboard. If
That doesn't actually work in real life. We do not have a tab key in the loco, and even if we did, if we like try to plug in a keyboard, pressing tab will not request the dispatcher permission. That only works in the game.
permission is then granted, you may pull away and move past the red signal while pressing and holding the PZB override key. This will allow you to move past the active 2000 Hz magnet without an emergency brake application. But if you have to do this, you will now be limited to a speed of just 40 km per hour until you have either travelled 2 km or passed a clear signal, whichever comes first.
No. That's actually wrong. So this one depends on the signal that you pass. If the signal has a distant signal on it, or it's a signal that is a combined main and distant signal. So either you have a main signal with a distant signal combined, or if you're in a neural signaling system, you have a signal that just displays both in one aspect. In that case, it's 2 kilometers or until you can see the next main signal or the aspect of the next main signal. That would include a distant signal. Yeah. And then of course you still have restrictions that would apply if you're in a yard, so or on like anything that has a switch. So if you're in a yard or at a junction or whatever, it's 40 kilometers an hour until your last axle has passed the last switch in your path, and then either you're allowed to go if it was a main signal without any form of distant signaling aspect, or if it was a combined one, then 2 kilometers or seeing the aspect of the next main signal, starting from, of course, the main signal that you passed.
At which point you then may press the PZB release or free key and accelerate back up to line speed.
That happens automatically. So you do not need to press release or anything, because when you pass the 2000 Hertz magnet, all other restrictions will get cleared, since the system knows that you passed a 2000 Hertz magnet. All previous restrictions do not matter. It's now 40 kilometers an hour.
May press the PZB release or free key and accelerate back up to line speed. And now just want to jump into the first of the driving scenarios demonstrating how to approach a red signal. The screenshots that you've just seen as I was explaining how to approach a red signal in a Type O train are from this scenario here on the Cologne to Koblenz route, and I've just paused it temporarily as we're approaching the cautionary distance signal. As you can see, we're currently travelling at 160 km per hour, which is the line speed, and if I now unpause it, what I'm going to do now is cut back the power as I can see the cautionary signal ahead. I'm going to start braking.
1 second, I will turn off my fan because it is getting a bit warm in my room. I hope you cannot hear it on the microphone. If you can, then please let me know.
Before we reach the signal to try and prevent having to brake too hard once we've passed the signal. So as we now reach the signal here, I'm now going to press the PZB acknowledge key. As you can see, the 1000 Hertz lamp has come on and the 85 lamp is flashing.
Hear my fan in the background. I turn it on because I'm getting warm.
Which indicates that we are now under restricted monitoring. So now trying to bring our speed down under 85 km per hour, which I've now done in less than 23 seconds. I'm now releasing the brakes momentarily just to see if I can see the signal ahead. I can see the signal ahead and I can see that it hasn't cleared. So now the 1000 Hertz lamp has extinguished. I can't press the PZB free key because if I was to do so, then the emergency brakes would be applied. I've now slowed down to below 65 km per hour before we reach the 500 Hertz magnet just here. And we're now approaching the 500 Hertz magnet, so I'm now going to slow down, as I know I've only got 153 meters in which to slow to below 45 kilometers per hour. I've now met all of the speed restrictions when approaching the red signal, and so I can now just gently bring the train to a stop here in front of the signal. So we've now successfully stopped at a red signal following all of the PZB speed restrictions. Let's now take a look at the speed restrictions for a Type M train. If you were driving a Type M train with the M standing for Mittlerer, then instead of the 85 lamp illuminating on the dashboard, you would be using the 70 lamp. Type M trains are usually faster freight trains, and the speed limits for a Type M train approaching a red signal are as follows. Whereas Type O trains are limited to 160 km per hour under PZB, Type M trains are limited to 120 km per hour. Upon passing an active 1000 Hz magnet, you then have 26 seconds to slow to a speed
Oh,
of
he
below
does
7.
LZB
You
too.
can see the LZB distance display. This displays the distance to the next speed change measured. LZB protects a certain distance range in front of the train, which varies depending upon the current speed. You will know when you're running on an LZB section of track due to the LZB wire, which runs along the centre of the track between the rails. Back in the cab of the Virtual Railroads BR406 locomotive, let's now take a look at the various displays in use for the LZB system. In between the speedometer and the tractive effort brake force gauge, you can see the LZB distance display. This displays the distance to the next speed change measured in hundreds of meters. It will show you any upcoming speed changes that are within the next 9.9 kilometers of track. The main display is a line which goes up to 4,000 meters and drops towards zero as you get closer to an upcoming speed restriction or signal restriction. If the distance of the upcoming restriction is more than 4,000 meters and below 9,900 meters, then a digital display above this will show you how far away the restriction is. If the restriction is above 9,900 meters away, then the digital display will continually read 9,900 meters until the upcoming restriction comes into range. The LZB distance and speed monitor tells you about upcoming changes in the permanent speed restriction as well as changes in the signal speed restriction. Where a change is indicated, you do not have to acknowledge this, unlike with PZB. The U lamp on the right of the display indicates that the LZB system is
It's not a U, it's an U. It has the two dots above it.
currently active. At the bottom of the speedometer, you will see a speed display which represents the LZB target speed. When a restriction is active on the distance display and the target speed is on the speedometer, you need to be down to this target speed before the distance display reaches 0. If the target speed on the speedometer reads 000, then you must stop the train at the next signal. The distance of this signal will be indicated on the LZB distance display. Many German
The LZB stop marker, the LZB internal one, and the actual signal may not be in the same location. The LZB stop marker might be up to 25 meters ahead of the signal. So when driving on LZB, you don't drive by signals, you drive by the instruments in your cab. So obey to that, and don't approach the signal thinking you can go all the way up to it. Whatever the distance meter in your cab shows counts.
German trains have a form of cruise control known as AFB. When driving with AFB active, then this can work with the LZB system to automatically manage any speed changes so that the driver does not have to brake for a reduction in the speed limit, as the train will do this automatically. Conversely, with the throttle open, if there is an increase in the speed limit, then the train can automatically accelerate up towards this new speed limit. The driver only has to control the rate of acceleration through the position of the throttle control. The B lamp on the display will illuminate.
AFB and LZB together are theoretically capable of full self-driving. That is theoretically possible. However, it is not actually realized. And at speeds below 60 kilometers an hour, you're actually required to manually brake the train. The AFB, you're only allowed to let the AFB handle the braking down to 60 kilometers an hour. It's just for, the AFB might not be precise enough at that low speed limits. So it might accidentally run a stop or not brake fast enough for, when you're approaching a switch. So under 60 kilometers an hour, manual braking.
If automatic braking is active when running under LZB mode. Of course, it could be that in reality the AFB system has failed, or it could be that you're driving an LZB-equipped locomotive which does not have AFB installed. In this case, you will need to control all of these speed changes manually, ensuring that you're slowing down for signals or speed changes within an allotted braking curve. If you are not slowing down quick enough, then the red G lamp will illuminate on the dashboard, indicating that you are traveling faster than the braking curve allows.
The G will light up anyways, only when it starts flashing. That's when you need to brake more. as long as it's not flashing, you're fine. It just announces that you're about to enter a braking curve or that you're still within one. If you are more than 30 kilometers below the braking curve, the G will not illuminate. And since when it's illuminating, there is a buzzer going off. If you're right on those 30 kilometers an hour under the braking curve, you might constantly get the buzzer. In that case, just brake a little more or a little less so that you're not on that exact line where the buzzer fires off, because that can get pretty annoying pretty quickly.
To correct this, you will need to brake harder to bring the train's speed down quicker. When reaching the end of an LZB section, the end light will illuminate, and you will need to press the PZB acknowledge key on certain more advanced locomotives. Let's now jump into the first of the LZB driving scenarios that I wanted to go through. So we're currently in the cab of the Virtual Railroads BR101, travelling at the line speed of 200 km per hour on the Hamburg to Hanover route, and we're actually heading away from Hanover towards the first stop of Celle. Now there is a speed reduction coming up of 150 km per hour, as indicated by the target speed display in the speedometer, and also indicated by the distance display, which shows that this speed restriction is currently 4.1 km away.
I literally cannot read those 4.1 kilometers. Might be because I don't have my glasses on because they collide with my headphones, or because it's just not zoomed in enough, but I can read the leading 4, but I can't read what's coming after it.
The AFB system at this point is switched off, so let's unpause it now and show you what you need to do when driving under LZB to slow down for an upcoming speed restriction. So I'm going to continue cruising along at 200 km per hour until the G lamp illuminates, indicating that I do need to then put on the brakes. So we're now 3 km away from the upcoming speed change. The G lamp has now illuminated, so to shut off the throttle. I'm now going to apply the brakes to start bringing our speed down. As you can see now, we've now
use the electric brakes, you idiot. You're wasting energy.
Actually ended up with the G lamp extinguishing, which means that we're now below the braking curve to slow down for the upcoming speed restriction. So I'll now release the brakes to demonstrate what happens. And so if I continue at that speed, you see there that the G lamp comes back on, indicating that we're not slowing down quite quick enough for the allotted braking curve.
And please stop braking and then releasing and braking and then releasing. Just choose a lower brake setting. Like, it's not that hard. Please don't brake like an idiot.
So the G lamp is now extinguished again. It's now come on again. And as you can see, it sort of comes on and off as you're trying to slow down. But just make sure that you don't stay at a speed that's too high above the braking curve for too long, or the system will kick in to force you to slow down. So we're actually...
It's after 3 kilometers above the speed limit, you will get a warning. If you go 8 kilometers above the braking curve, a penalty brake will apply. However, that penalty brake will release as soon as you are below the speed limit, though of course, because it's a full service application, it might take a moment.
Now down below the target speed, but the G hasn't extinguished yet, and it won't extinguish now until we've actually passed the point of the speed change. So we've now passed the point of the speed change. You can see that the distance display has changed there, indicating that we're now 5 kilometers away from the next speed change. And so that was the first driving scenario I wanted to show you, driving without AFB and managing a speed change. The next one I'm going to do now is we're going to jump back to the same point.
Also, one thing about LZB is that the speed limit raising might not be announced in the distance meter. So in that case, your speed indicator will just jump up. Yeah, I don't even know if the indicator is visible there. Might be a glitch because the speed indicator is also used to indicate the speed the AFB is currently set to. So maybe the loco is bugged that if the AFB is disabled, the speed indicator for AFB and LZB doesn't even appear.
That's where I started this scenario, this time with the AFB system switched on to show you what happens. So for driving scenario 2, we've now jumped back to 4.1 kilometers away from the speed change down to 150 kilometers per hour, and we're currently traveling at 200 kilometers per hour, this time with the AFB system managing our speed. So I'm not going to give much more preamble this time, let's just get on with it. So I'll unpause it now, and let's just see what happens with the AFB system in relation to the speed change. Something I don't think I mentioned earlier was that we're actually able to travel faster under LZB mode because of the way it's set up, which is why we're able to travel at speeds of 200 kilometers per hour plus when traveling under LZB. So the G lamp's now come on. You can see the power, the tractive effort and brake force gauge there. But the system's not actually applying the brakes quite as early as I did to slow down for the upcoming speed change. We're now 2 kilometers away from the speed change, and the brakes are now on. The thing is that with the AFB system, unlike when I'm driving manually, it actually knows the exact braking curve that it needs to follow to bring our speed down, whereas I'm not quite so sure on that, so I'm going to tend to...
Well, you would know the braking curve as well if the speed indicator was working. The allowed speed indicator.
slow down a bit earlier than the AFB system does. Speed is now coming down nicely.
Though it seems to not be an issue with the AFB being turned off, because now it's turned on, so I guess the loco is just wrong there, because it should be like a little like that one there that indicates what it's, you know, what your max allowed speed is. So
you can also see the little red bug on the outside of the speedometer, which is the AFB bug showing the speed that you set it to if you're on the PZB, but under LZB.
oh, so it is supposed to be there. I literally cannot see it.
You can actually see the bug moving dynamically to slow us down.
Actually, isn't there... Okay. There we go. So, okay. So, I can see like 3 red pixels there. That's about it. Also, how do I... no, that just disabled. Is it Windows Escape? Yes. Also, did I accidentally zoom? That's how I want it. All right.
To the maximum permitted speed. So we're now down to 150 kilometers per hour. Power's now gone back on just to ensure that we don't end up losing speed at this point, to hold us at 150 kilometers per hour. And so now we've looked at this second driving scenario. I just want to demonstrate approaching a red signal when driving under LZB. So we're now in the cab of an ICE 3 unit on the Mannheim to Karlsruhe route, and I'm currently travelling at the line speed of 200 kilometers per hour as we've left Karlsruhe heading towards Mannheim. At this point you can see that there's actually a green display there, a distance display, showing that we've got a speed change coming up in 3 kilometers, and you can see that there's 3 zeros on the target speed display, indicating that we need to...
Would be great if you turn on your instrument lights so that one could actually read the numbers on there.
Stop, as this is a red signal coming up. So if I now unpause the scenario at this point, let's show you what happens as we slow down for the red signal. Please bear in mind that the AFB system at this point is inactive, as I've got it turned off. So
also, I'd like to mention that if your loco or multiple unit or cab car is equipped with AFB and the system is not broken, you're actually not allowed to disable it, because it is a safety system. And you're not allowed to disable safety systems unless they are broken.
So the G has now come on. I've now put the brakes on to start bringing our speed down, to try and bring us down under the speed curve here. As you can see, the G lamp has now extinguished, so I can now reduce the braking slightly. And as you can see now, the signal's actually changed ahead for some reason, so we're now actually clear to continue accelerating. So I can now accelerate back up towards line speed. I say that, but for some reason now, we've now got the signal warning again, so I'm not quite sure what happened there, whether the train ahead moved.
It's probably just the game being inaccurate, because the LZB implementation in the game is not the best by any means, as is the PZB implementation. They're just botched on top. The game was never meant to support these safety systems, so they just implemented them via object and rolling stock scripts, and that can never get as realistic as a direct game-wise implementation can get.
Or whether it's just a bug within Train Simulator with the signalling system. We're now 1 kilometer away from the upcoming red signal. Our speed's now 100 kilometers per hour, so I'm just going to reduce the brakes now until the G lamp comes back on, at which point I'll then reapply the brakes to bring our speed down for the upcoming red signal. In my previous signalling guide, I did cover approaching a red signal under LZB mode, but unfortunately, at the time, I didn't realise that very often you might not be driving with AFB, and as a result of that, you may need to stop manually. So I really wanted to cover manual approaches to red signals in this particular signalling guide. Of course, with the AFB system turned on, you will find that the train will actually stop at a red signal automatically. But I would recommend taking manual control of the brakes as you get closer to the red signal anyway.
As I said earlier, you have to under 60 kilometers an hour.
Now see the red signal coming up. You can also see the red bug on the outside of the speedometer, which is actually the target speed. I've noticed that the G-lamp comes on quite a bit before we've reached that point. So
You're braking like an idiot. Please stop that.
the G-lamp comes on before the target speed has reached our current speed. And now just coasting towards the signal for a moment, just allowing us to slow down a bit more gently here. And now I'm going to reapply the brakes to make sure that our speed is under the LZB target speed there. And we can now draw up safely in front of the signal. I hope that with all of the information included in this video, you now have a much better understanding of how to operate trains utilizing the PZB and LZB signaling system. This tutorial was a lot more comprehensive than my previous one and covered the most common situations you may encounter when driving on German or Austrian routes within Train Simulator. So at this point, I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, then please don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest.
Alright, well, it was less wrong than I expected. Though, would have been great if they'd gotten more right. So, yeah, maybe they will at some point see this stream and, you know, fix everything. So, yeah, since we still got time, let's drive another train. So let me quickly change back the stream information. There we go. So let's drive the where is it? The 612. Actually, this one, because it is a bit glitchy. Which one you select? One is single multiple unit, one is two multiple units. So I mean, not everyone has that much braking experience and necessarily thinks of optimal braking techniques. Yeah, that is true. Though that's not necessary. I mean, it just bugs me. And especially if you play a lot of train simulators, you can learn it. If you're willing to learn it, so no. Especially when brakes are notched in game. Also often brake a little bit, release the brake. Yeah, it's try not to do it, please. Try not to do it. Idiots will brake that way. Well, anyways, let's have some fun with this train. Before I open the doors, let's enable all the safety systems. So this one got an additional safety system. So this one got CIFA. Here's it's still labeled as Induzi, and then that's labeled as that's yeah, either a wrong label in-game or whatever, but this is GNT, which is speed supervision for tilting trains. So let's get everything set up. Alright, so it's now testing the tilting, which is why I didn't open the doors first. Yeah. Are you done? Not yet. Also, I know that this sign is floating. It's been bugging me for a while, but I'm too lazy to report the bug. So, anyways, let's open the doors. All right. I think we got everything. So let's properly secure the train. Does this have any? Potentially any? No. Doesn't have a button for the parking brake, so well, I don't know. I'm not trained on this train. I've only ever ridden this train once, so I'm not sure how realistic everything about this is. So, anyways, suppose it depends on how the brake's set up. Yeah, I mean you do need a bit of experience to get it correctly, but honestly, it is not that hard. So, you know, it is manageable to learn how to brake decently, even just in a game. Anyway, so we're clear to go. So this is a diesel hydraulic multiple unit with a top speed of 160 kilometers an hour, equipped with CFA, PZB, and GNT. No LZB. If there's a lot of difference between the brake application steps, it can be difficult to find an ideal setting. But yeah, the thing is though that all German systems are the same. Like the German brakes all follow the same scheme of 1A, 1B, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 or VB, which is just maximum service application. So, you know, and the steps in releasing pressure from the brake pipe are the same. So the only difference you have is, you know, the strength of the loco brakes and the strength of the car brakes, and those generally are about the same for cars, locos that are meant to go the same speed. So there's not too much variance in there. All right. Let's go a bit faster than 40 kilometers per hour. Alright, now we are under GNT supervision. This one, usually GNT speeds are announced in the timetable, but here they just implemented it by only showing the GNT speeds, since timetable functionality is not implemented. Though the UI will also show the correct speed, and I'm just going with that, since, you know, I don't have a timetable and I don't know this route. I've never been in this area of Germany. So this route is actually part of the Short Train Perfect route Dresden-Nürnberg. So this is Dresden to Chemnitz. So this right here is where the demo that's included in Trains 2006 all the way to 2010 begins. Right at the station we just passed. And yeah, I know I'm going slightly too fast. Don't crap your pants there, it's just 3 kilometers an hour. Yeah, so I can also see the tilting in action. I don't know if this amount of tilting is realistic. I really don't know. Since I have driven tilting trains before, but never under GNT, so they were limited to only half their tilting capability, and we didn't go past the usual line speed. So I don't know. I think it is realistic. Yeah, it definitely tilts that much. I know that. But I don't know if this amount of tilting is realistic for this curve and this speed. So yeah, since I don't have any references, and on pictures when the train is tilting a lot, on a picture you can't see speed. So that's like kind of the drawback of a picture. It doesn't move because it's not a movie. If it were a movie, it would be called a movie, not a picture. So yeah. So this route got some pretty extreme gradients, so not really that easy to adjust the throttle, especially with the horrible controls of this loco. No idea who thought that was a good idea. There were like 5 companies who worked on this train, so I don't know, all of them are to blame. But yeah, I do agree. Releasing the brakes completely while attempting to brake to a certain speed while not being at that speed yet isn't really a good idea. Yeah, that's really not a good idea. Like, that's an exceptionally bad idea. But that is how some people attempt to brake. For some reason. All of them are to blame, Company 5, but I only textured the Abfalleimer. Well, but you did work on this train, didn't you? I mean, it's honestly, it's not the worst I've ever controlled. But, yeah. Hope I didn't stop too soon. No, I didn't. Alright, secure the train, open the doors. TNT is flashing because we are right about to cross a speed limit change, and it feels like it needs to announce that. Because maybe this train can manage to accelerate past 110 kilometers an hour in like 518 meters, which, no, it can't. Oh, 5 companies worked on the train itself. I thought it was the route, sorry. Do you mean like the DLC or something? No, this train in real life, I think, was I think 4 or 5 companies that on this. The leading one was Was it the one with A? That's not Alstom. That doesn't exist anymore. Adtrans, but other companies were involved on that as well. Yeah, so and basically this, I mean, Adtrans messed up before, you know, because it all started with the BR610, which was the first tilting train in Germany, and that one was quite successful and quite reliable, in fact, after some problems in the beginning. And that one used tilting technology from Fiat. And then Deutsche Bahn decided to order more tilting trains, and originally they wanted to order another series of the BL610, but they instead decided to buy from Adtrans instead, because they want Adtrans offered them to build the entire tilting system in Germany, since of course Fiat is an Italian company. And well, I mean, the train was able to drive and it was allowed to drive, just that the tilting never worked. It always broke down. And yeah, it was really unreliable. So in the end, they decided to run the trains without the tilting. And the trains were still unreliable, so they just retired them and replaced them with the BR612, which was also by Adtrans, but they promised to make them more reliable than the 611s, which they did, although these also had quite a lot of problems in the beginning, and then in the middle of their lifespan they had an issue where they had to be taken out of service because I don't really remember what the issue was, but yeah, there was an issue there. Gotta break a bit. Yeah, so they was, I think, some issue with the Bogie frames, maybe? I don't completely remember, but I think that might have been it. So yeah, but these trains still run. I rode one of them like I don't know, a month ago. That was beginning of last month, so yeah, pretty much 1 month ago. Yeah, so these do run. My ride wasn't really that comfortable, but that was because the train was overcrowded and I had to sit in the bike compartment. Yeah, and to press like 3 buttons at the same time there with one hand. Yeah, so we got our 60 limit starting at this signal, otherwise we're clear, so nothing to acknowledge, just the limit to stick to. Please don't ask me why they placed this signal so far ahead of the switch that actually demands those 60 kilometers an hour. I don't know. Sorry for the confusion. I thought we were talking about the Taranto-Rampe DLC route. No, I'm talking about the real life train. Well, I will be off. Alright. See ya, VGR. Hope you had a great time. Yeah. Good luck with your train running exams and thanks for the info. You're welcome, and thanks for the good luck. Hopefully I won't need it, but it's good to have it anyway. And luckily in like a month or so I'll actually get back to driving trains again, instead of just wasting my time in a vocational school that can't teach me anything. No, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. Sometimes. I will read that once I stop, because stopping and reading chat at the same time is not a good idea. I know that from first hand, so... These brakes release a little slow for my liking. Like, way too slow. Alright. And if you ever get to drive a Kariowa-made Lema, I doubt you will though, don't be afraid to push it. Built to traverse mountains in the name Trans-Montana. So going a little hard on the throttle won't hurt it. Going hard on the throttle won't hurt any train. It will just be uncomfortable for the riders. Yeah. Okay, that does look pretty cool. Did I release the brakes? No, I didn't. Right, so that is looking pretty cool. It's crazy to see the full number painted on the front. But, well, I guess. I mean, I have no idea in which countries these run. Just because it's a DB locomotive doesn't mean that it runs in Germany. If the side panel was readable in this photo, I mean, it is mostly readable, but I cannot see the grid that tells you which countries it's allowed to run in, so... I mean, it has the flags on there, I'm not sure if they are the ones that this one is allowed to run in. No idea. Never seen that one in Germany anyways, but... yeah. Yes, that one. Freight locos. Ah, well, since I don't drive freight, you know... that's why I told you that you're most likely never going to drive it. Yeah. Right now, I'm long-distance trains. I might switch over to regional passenger trains in the future. I do not plan to ever go freight because that's like a lot more work. You drive slower. You need to, you know, get out more, get out your seat. Do like fix issues on these rundown freight cars that nobody bothers to repair. I don't want that. If you were employed by Green Cargo Sweden, then you would have a higher chance driving one of these. Yeah, but to be employed by Green Cargo Sweden, I would need to speak Swedish. And I do not, and I don't plan to. Only test runs. As I said, I only build them, don't drive them. Yeah, but I mean, it's still great if you get the chance to drive them. No. Plus, I'm not qualified to be a mainline train driver. Yeah, well, but you know, if you have a qualified driver to instruct you, that's, you know, different rules apply depending on your country. So, and of course, not everyone always follows the rules. Not saying that I encourage such behavior, I'm just saying that it does happen from time to time. In a virtual environment, yes, I can drive a Lima, no issue, but IRL, no. Oh, well, I mean, you know, in a virtual environment, you can do quite a lot. Also, by the way, you can get into real training simulators run by Deutsche Bahn. They do offer public visits to those simulators. It is quite expensive. but you can do it if you're ever in Germany and are interested in it. Just Google DB Simulator Fulda, and then you should get to the page where we can book F5 in the simulator. It will be expensive. It will be as part of a larger group. And of course, you won't be alone. You will have an instructor with you. So yeah, they are the same simulators that we use to, for training purposes and for supervision purposes. So once a year, you gotta go to the simulator and prove your skills. Yeah, the simulator is the same. However, the situations that you will be placed in will not be the same because, of course, you're not a qualified rival. You don't know what to do. Well, now I'm really gonna disappear. All right, have a nice day, VGR. See you all tonight on Cheryl does a stream. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. What does he stream today? Is that something I'm interested in? I don't know. I can't even, like, because I got the day off today, I don't even realize that it's Friday. I keep thinking that it's already Saturday. So tabletop role playing. Not my favorite, so I'll probably not watch it, or if I do, only in the background while I probably work on the Blue Water Valley. Gotta do some more touch up on the terrain, especially where I want the settlements to go, and then yeah, I'm maybe gonna get into starting the scenery potentially. I don't know yet. But like once I'm done with the terrain touch-ups, I don't see anything that would stop me from doing that. So I'm not really sure yet which part of the scenery I'll start with. But yeah, I will get started on scenery, which is good. That means I'm making progress. Hope the touching up goes well. Yeah, it's been going pretty well. I mean, it's mainly like flattening areas that are not flat enough to put buildings on them, or like filling gaps that have been created by the terrain embankments. I will be right back. I'll quickly get myself something to drink. Oh, wrong one. All right, I am back. Let me quickly take a look. Still about 45 minutes to go on this service. I might not finish this one. I'm not entirely sure. Alright. Almost didn't see that station coming up, but I realized it soon enough. So... Alright, everyone out, everyone in. Hurry up, hurry up. Right, in. Close up the doors. Release the brakes and let's go. Was a bit too slow there. Alright, yeah. Got a penalty break. It's released already, but these trains take a goddamn long time to release, so... Oh, wrong button. Alright, so it's about half an hour until we arrive in Chemnitz, so I'll probably finish this and then end the stream. Welcome, Johnny Luckboy. Thank you for the follow. Hello. I'm doing good, thank you. Hope you're doing good yourself. You're right, that's good to hear. Alright, so... Pretty sure that it's mainly downhill from here to Öderan. So some braking and then when the speed limit goes up. Now we'll try to catch up some of the time, although I think I'm only like 2 minutes late. What route are you on? This is the Tarantor Rampe. It goes from Dresden all the way to Chemnitz. I hate that it takes so long until this thing is actually doing anything. Especially at high speeds, you need to get the throttle like upwards of 50% until anything starts to happen. Oh, the speed limit. At least I didn't get the penalty break this time. Seriously? You give me a penalty break for being 10 kilometers per hour over, like 100 meters away? For fuck's sake. Well, there goes any hope for reaching Chemnitz on time. Alright, well, at least we're only like a minute late now, so... Oh, there is a collectible. So, I don't know, since we are late anyways, let's go after the collectible, because that's what real train drivers do. Sorry. Yeah, they just jump out at the station and run after collectibles. Welcome back, Kango Fango. In your absence, I got 2 GNT penalty breaks, and now I'm chasing collectibles. And it's starting to rain. How can that sad excuse for a cloud above my head can cause rain? Oh. Well, let's keep going. Well, the Vipers. Hopefully we won't suffer from any wheel slip. Is the 612's horn sound accurate to real life? I have no idea, because I never heard this thing use its horn, like in person. The best would be to look up a video of it. Yeah, like I said, I only rode this thing once. I didn't even plan on doing that. It was just, you know, the train I wanted to take was cancelled, and this was the best alternative. It was overcrowded. I had to sit in the bike compartment. Yeah, it was not a great experience. That buzzer is so annoying. Oh, we got a downhill gradient. Let's apply full power if this train would please finally power up. I hate how long this takes. Already gotta slow down again. Yeah, no idea if this horn is accurate or not. I mean, they probably used a real recording, I suppose. I mean, probably since the 187's release, they should know how much people care about the sound. Because that one got like pretty shit reviews for its sound, and it hasn't fully recovered from that. Because the sounds, while they are, you know, at least from the correct locomotive now, they still don't sound accurate. Alright, let's see. Yeah, sounds about right. I mean, you can't directly compare the two because one was done probably with a very high quality microphone pointed directly at the train in like fairly quiet surroundings, and one is taken from a video that looks like it was made from a mobile phone somewhere by the road with the train passing by at speed. So they are not gonna sound identical. That's for sure. It sounds fairly accurate, you know. Also, I completely botched braking here. I really should pay more attention to driving and less attention to chat. Alright, just like 10, 12 more minutes to go. Actually, let me save the game real quick, just in case. Because knowing my luck, the game will probably crash like 800 meters before arriving at Chemnitz. So Oh shit, there's a station coming up. Luckily, this train got pretty good brakes, even if they release super slow. Was this one the... Ah, got that one. Any other collectibles around here? Because as we all know, that's what train drivers do. When they're at a station, they look for collectibles. Oh, there's one down there. Yeah. I don't give a crap for the timetable, I just want my collectibles. Where is it? Staircase. There we go. Oh, first that kind. Well, I like the rain puddles on the platform. They add a lot. That is true. Though honestly, the entire platform should be wet if it is still raining. Also, it should not be raining if there is no cloud directly above me. Like, there's nothing up there that can rain. And yeah, the entire platform should be wet. Like, it's been raining for, what, half an hour now in-game? Like 20 minutes at least. The rain has slowed down, yes, but that doesn't mean the water that has already rained down goes away, so... I don't know, maybe they'll improve that with Train Sim World 4? Or maybe we gotta wait until Train Sim World 5 for that? I don't know. I mean, even if the feature comes, it probably will take a while until it's retrofitted to older routes. I mean, at least they do that. But then again, a tons of trains routes also have gotten remasters with, like, new features. Like, some of the old Tane routes got remastered with 12FX and ground clutter and PBR textures. Not that the PBR textures add anything useful without using HD terrain, so, you know, at least they are high resolution. Next station is Chemnitz. That is good. Is it still raining? Yeah. some stuttering in the game. Probably because it's now loading Chemnitz, which got a lot more track than the other areas. At least we're almost on time in Chemnitz, which is very good and actually quite surprising considering that I spent quite a lot of time collecting penalty breaks and running after collectibles. Oh. Game seems to love stuttering today. Here, this platform is entirely wet. This is how it's supposed to be. And the wetness even stops when the roof starts. That's pretty cool. Finally, I got a somewhat smooth stop with this train. Well, there we go. Chemnitz. Only about 1.5 minutes late. Oh, doesn't even want me to close the doors. All right. Yeah, I've been going for almost 3 hours now, so thank you for watching, everyone. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Wish you all a beautiful Friday. And yeah, see you for the next stream at some point. I don't know when. Maybe tomorrow, maybe on Sunday, maybe next week or something. I'll see when I got time. See ya, everyone. Bye bye.